We started.
Okay, well, we'll talk.
We should mime a whole episode once. We just use facial expressions.
Like we should do it telepathically.
How about a what did Jerry Lewis do? He did
telethon.
I couldn't think of the word.
Teleport.
Teleport. I'm going to teleport. Not right.
Tell us something.
But thon does not sound right when you just say thon on its own. Thon
and marathon.
Yeah, telethon.
And telethon. So, what did you think of the movie? We watched Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
1958, Elizabeth Taylor, Paul Newman. And the reason we did it was because Paul Newman, Elizabeth Taylor,
he was in the last one.
In the Absence of Alice, yes.
Yes, but I'm starting to get. I don't know whose choice it is anymore. I have to go look it up because I do know, because I'll make a choice, but you have to approve it because you've just seen it or not.
Like both of our choices all the way through. I think I said I chose this one, so you get to choose the next one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'll figure it out for sure. But it was good. What did you think of it?
Yeah, very surprisingly wonderful. I looked up on YouTube, and you can watch. There's two other versions of it. One with Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood, and one with Jessica Lange and who is the guy?
It was based on a play.
Yeah,
so Tenesse Williams did the play first, and a lot of different people played in the play. So, what do you call cinematically? It was beautiful. The plantation and the actors. It was all Sometimes like in the 70s, it's grainy and not good, and this is better than some of the ones from the 70s for sure. And Elizabeth Taylor looked gorgeous. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
She's walking around in a dress that looked like a slip. So one of the not bloopers is like she's out in the pouring rain trying to get him to come back in from the car, and so is he, and so he's out in the rain, and his cast doesn't fall apart or anything, even though it's sopping wet, and her hair and clothes are remarkably dry right afterwards, and it's like, that's pretty much the only
gorgeous in it, I saw the Jessica Lange one. I think it seemed more like a play that was videoed. And then the Robert Wagner, Natalie Wood one. And it was, they weren't as striking as Elizabeth was in this one. It was like you can't keep your eyes off her face and her figure. They just keep drawing you into. And I guess part of that's because he was pushing her aside and not wanting her advances. And you're going, I want to be him. Why? How can he say no to her? Like it's like the dream position. You know what I mean? That's what you want is what he's getting, and he's turning it aside.
Yeah. Found an interesting thing. I think Wikipedia or one of the movie sites said production began March 12th, 1958, and by the 19th, Taylor had contracted a virus which kept her off the shoot. So on March 21st, she canceled plans to fly with her husband, Mike Todd, to New York City, where he was going to be honored at the Friars Club. But the plane crashed and her husband was killed. So she had to, as soon as she gets better from this virus, she's, back on the movie set after her husband. But they started again on April 14th. So she returned to the set in a thinner and weaker. So yeah, I think that she was really acting because she was going through a really pretty terrible time on her own, and she,
but how do you act at those moments? How do you act about being in love with somebody else when your husband just died and that's all that's in your mind? And you've got look at Paul Newman, who's such a good sight to look at too. And he's like mad at you, wants you out of his face, and he can't stand you, and he spits nails every time he looks at you. And yet you've got to give him love, or the version of that in acting, as your husband said. Oh man,
that's acting when you take on this, guy who's just so not into you and pretend that he is, or feel like he is, or something. So we have, I don't like the character's name Brick. I never like those. I think there's another one, another character that had like Brick, and it's like, what a name. Like,
but it's like such Americana from the South in that time.
Yeah.
I feel like that whole Tennessee Williams vibe.
Oh, it does. And Goober.
Yeah.
The brother Goober. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Goober and Brick. You tell me which one's the goofball and which one's the strong.
Yeah. What I didn't like is at the end, it didn't tie up into a proper bow. He is such an alcoholic that he cannot stop it. He has to drink. He has to drink. He has to drink. And then he talks to his dad, and it's all resolved, and now he's not going to drink anymore. It's like, oh, that's too tidy. And he also doesn't. So when I was watching it, Martin was watching some of it with me, and he says, it kind of feels like the movie started in the middle of the story. And it kind of did, because the real story is when she was with Skipper and his death or suicide, and she slept with him or not, and the questions and stuff. So that was in some ways the real story. And we never got to see any of it. We never saw Skipper. And we don't know what really happened. I know that there's a lot of conversation that it was a homosexual relationship that Brick had with Skipper, but that doesn't play out the way I would have expected it to. So that was just interesting.
Yeah, I sort of agree. In fact, in the MB thing that says an alcoholic ex-football player drinks his days away, having failed to come to terms with his sexuality and his real feelings towards his football buddy who died. I'm thinking, so I'm ready to watch this movie, looking for that, and I didn't see
it. And you can't find it. It's not there. Or
So-
then it is like, okay, I can read that that's what he's all upset about. But then at the end, you don't just say, okay, I do love my wife, let's have a baby. Like, I didn't get that.
But it was answerable, not with his sexuality confusion, with the fact that he thinks she might have slept with him.
Well, and then she said she did.
No, she said she didn't.
Well, so it says Maggie joins them and reveals what happened a few years ago on the night of Brick's best friend and football team Skipper died by suicide. Maggie was jealous of Skipper because he had more of Brick's time, and she says that Skip was lost without Brick at his side. So she decided to ruin their relationship by any means necessary, intending to seduce Skipper and use this information to make her husband question his loyalty. However, Maggie ran away without completing the plan. Brick had blamed Maggie for Skipper's death, but actually blames himself. So, but then I read something else where it says that they actually did sleep together. So I don't know I think that was her intention, but I don't think it really happened.
Well, I don't know if it was as much her intention as she wanted to prove to him that his friend's not as loyal as he thinks he is. And in her head, she goes, well, I'm going to go seduce him. And if I seduce him and he says, yes, I'll do that, then he's already failed.
Yeah.
But then she, how far do you go with this? Like, how far do you actually have to seduce somebody to prove that they were seduced?
Yeah. So
that was confusing.
I won't say, confusing, just a little maybe it's more clear in the play. Maybe they took liberties with the movie. Like, I don't know. But I couldn't really tell. I don't know that, he's a homosexual and he loves Skipper, and then his friend dies and he feels guilt about that and his anger at his wife because she said she slept with him. And then whether that's all kind of, okay, he spends some time in the basement with his dad who thinks he's dying. And his father's also, okay, that was the second thing. His father's dying, you know, and then he finds out that he's told that he's not, so that, you know, he can live. And then he's told that he is. And so he goes downstairs and he's like on death's bed, like any second he's going to die. And then, oh, I feel a little bit better now. And then he goes upstairs and talks, and it's like, can't he just like even rest for a little while or something?
And he didn't even take the morphine that would have actually made that reasonable, that he would come upstairs with some kind of vigor back in. I was just thinking now, the whole struggle between him and his friend who died, if his friend was going to be seduced by the wife and was going to accept it, that means his friend's not gay. So if Paul Newman, if Brick is gay and his friend is not gay, that's why it's unrequited love. He'll never get what he wanted. And so there's a little bit of component of that, which turns him into the sort of beast that he is, of a whiny, I got nothing, I don't have what I want kind of life. But didn't it show it with the Burl Ives character, a Big Daddy, when he essentially said, I want nothing to do with Big Mama.
Yeah. And his other son, he didn't care about his other son either. And it's like the other son gave him all kinds of kids, but he didn't care about that at all.
You know why he didn't care about the other son?
Well, his other son was pretty, I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of the words, but
was his other son his son?
Oh, maybe not.
So here's the funny thing. I watched the whole movie and then I went, there's something that was said by Big Mama that put into question that he was Big Daddy's son. And I tried to find it and I couldn't find it. So I went, I know what I'll do. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to answer this question. So I said, in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, was Gooper Big Daddy's son? He says, yes. Gooper Pilot. How did they pronounce their last name?
I don't know.
Also known as Brother Man, in the play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tenesse is indeed Daddy's elder son. Successful lawyer says it all and go, but did Big Daddy father him, or was his wife pregnant with him when marrying Big Daddy? And it goes, the play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof does not suggest that Gooper is not Big Daddy's biological son. As far as the audience knows, based on the information provided by Tenesse, Gooper is indeed the biological son.
Yeah.
So then I say, but Big Mama mentions being 4 months pregnant when he asked her to marry him.
Yeah.
Here's what ChatGPT does, which is why I love ChatGPT. ChatGPT is about to apologize to me. That's what ChatGPT goes. I apologize for the confusion. The information provided earlier is based on the original Tennessee Williams play, Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. It appears that you will be referring to a version of the adaptation of the story in which Big Mama does indeed mention being 4 months pregnant when Big Daddy asked her to marry him. In such an adaptation, it could be inferred that Gooper might not be Big Daddy's biological son if Big Mama was already pregnant with him when she married Big Daddy. However, without specific context or additional information from the version of the story, it would be difficult to make a definite conclusion. Nonetheless, this detail would certainly add an extra layer of complexity and tension to the family dynamics portrayed in Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. The fact that it took that.
You're frozen. Ah, there you are.
The fact that it took that and said, "Ooh, that would add a layer of complexity." Like
it would.
That's such a human thing to do.
And the thing is, each time, like, so Tennessee Williams makes this screenplay or this play, and then it turns into a screenplay, and then people adapt and change it and tweak it. And so back then, you know, latent homosexuality was, you know,
illegal,
untalkable. You just don't talk about that. So nowadays it'd be like, yeah, so what? You know, like, so it would be quite different in that way. I thought it just meant that Big Mama and Big Daddy, you know, were fooling around before they were married. And that in itself was, you know, shocking for that time.
No, if you actually go back to 40 minutes, watch it at the 40-minute mark, she says something like, wasn't he a great guy? He even said, I I'm going to have that son, and it'll take my name, because that's what a marriage is for, raising a family.
Okay.
And they say it'll take my name. You don't do that if it's your son.
Yeah.
Of course it takes your name. So I am dead sure
Okay.
that Cooper was not. That's why I kept arguing with ChatGPT, because I'm going, no, she made it obvious. She said he was a great guy. So the fact that he didn't like his wife, in fact, he says, I'm alive now, which he wasn't, like that he's going to die. He goes, I'm going to go fool around with everybody I possibly can and have as much sex as I can. And so he's essentially dissing his wife and says he cringes at the thought of her.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what
Rick is doing
with his wife.
Yeah.
Now, he's not doing it on a gay level. Do you know what I mean? Like Big Daddy, he's just doing it because she is, a whiny woman who, like, he can't manage to be calm with. Everybody is just so effervescent with their riches and their talking and their, like, they just.
Oh, those children. Oh, did you want to smack those children? I wanted to smack those children.
Even May, the sister, was given she looked so awful and ugly, and then the kids were ugly. They called no necks.
Yes,
no necks. All the way.
Yeah. It was definitely the old South. That part I appreciated, and they had slaves around, which they were. I'm sure they weren't slaves in the 50s, but they were probably former slaves.
Well, they worked for the house. It's like a plantation-y kind of house. They had 18,000 acres.
28,000 acres. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's some. It's funny. I think Big Daddy liked Maggie more than he liked anyone else in his whole family, more than the grandkids, more than his son.
Well, I think he would like Brick if Brick would have.
Sure, he was frustrated at that. That's for sure.
But it was the same. Brick's frustration was the same as his frustration, and they, like father like son kind of thing. They both couldn't. The father couldn't love his kids properly because he thought bringing them out of poverty was love. He equated that with love, and yet Brick is continually saying love is the important thing because he's trying to equate that with his friend being dead, and he loved his friend. Again, whether it was sexually or not, I don't think it was.
Yeah, they didn't slant it enough that way for us to come to that conclusion. That's the problem. They were so deliberately vague with it. It would almost have been a little more interesting had that happened. But so my problem with the movie was that I had a hard time understanding Brick's motives, to be such a drunk, and then at the end to be not a drunk. Like miraculously now he's gonna, I love you. I do love you, Maggie. It's all forgiven. Let's have a baby. I didn't understand that very well.
It was based on the lie, which he hated, all the lying that goes on. In fact, he hated the fact that he had to lie about, quote, his relationship with his buddy. So, and then all of a sudden she tells the worst lie, and that's when he falls in love with her. When she sort of becomes part of the same kind of, I'm not letting people know what the real truth is. And I loved it that they got together at the end and that she got what she wanted, and that he seemed even happy in it. I felt like a very happy ending, and I wasn't sure I was going to get that from like a Tennessee Williams play. I thought I was going to get the worst of the worst. It was going to be, somebody commit suicide and the movie's over. That was my worry in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good slice of that kind of life that we normally don't get to see. So yeah, I thought I liked it.
I thought Paul Newman's acting was pretty bad. And the worst part of it, he's got a broken leg and he's hopping around on one foot and falls over and hand me my crutch, you can get up. He's an athlete. hop on one foot and run faster than I can on two. You know what I mean? Like, and yet he had this thing of, oh, woe is me, I can't. And the little kid, hand me the crutch. And when daddy comes and takes away the crutch, I don't know what I can do now. I don't have my crutch. You don't have both legs broke. If both legs were broke, he acted like both legs were broke.
Yeah.
That's how he acted it. And that bothered me that he went over the top there with his sullenness and inability to get move around.
Well, I think in real life, he was such a handsome, personable guy. It's hard to see him be such a train wreck, to Elizabeth Taylor of all people, like what kind of guy is going to be so miserable? I mean, wealthy and all that stuff. So you should have a good life, but it's like, okay, you hurt your ankle and now you're miserable. But like so the alcoholic, I think that maybe, what's the movie? Streetcar Named Desire is also, deals with alcoholism and what it means. But the idea that he's no longer an alcoholic and everything's fine now, it wrapped it up in too tight of a bow. We didn't see any of that struggle, except they were marching around in the basement with all the hoarded crap that she brought back from Europe. Okay.
Yeah. Well, overall, fantastic movie. Elizabeth Taylor was the reason it was such a. It's funny because in Absence of Malice, Paul Newman was better than Sally Field by a long shot. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
And he just sort of played along. And this one, Elizabeth Taylor was the one who you believed in. You believed in her pain and her hope and her dreams. And I didn't believe in his love for his friend. I didn't believe in his drunkenness. I didn't believe in him coming out of his drunkenness. I didn't none of it was terribly believable.
Well, he had to play that part though. And that part requires that this is what happens. So he had to play that.
I watched a little bit of it in with Robert Wagner, and then the other one was, what's his name? Who's the guy in that movie with Will Smith where they aliens?
Tommy Lee Jones. I think he was. Was he in the play or was he in another movie?
Well, they made a movie of a play.
Okay.
He's with Jessica Lange, and he was more believable, I thought, than Paul Newman. Paul Newman I didn't watch the whole thing on either one of those. I just watched for glimpses of it. And it was, and Rip Torn played the father, Big Daddy. It's funny, Big Daddy, because that's what Susie would call me.
Okay.
Like Susie and I, our little pet names for each other all the way along was she called me Big Daddy and I'd call her Baby Doll. And there was one movie I saw where the guy goes, "Hey, Baby Doll, do that." She goes, "No, Big Daddy." And I went, "Oh my goodness."
That's where we started.
I clipped it out and I sent it to her. I don't know, 10 years ago, but Big Daddy was talking to Baby Doll.
Okay. So Jessica Lange played, the Elizabeth Taylor role, but she also played in A Streetcar Named Desire. So that's why I'm thinking along that same kind of line. So, her job is to deal with alcoholics, I guess. Oh, and then she had the monkey, right? King Kong. Yeah, wasn't that Jessica Lange?
I think so, yeah.
So
why did that King Kong seem? Yeah, she would have been the right age around there.
Yeah. So there's a few good quotes. Some homes are happy homes, and I guess then that implies that some aren't. And the cat on a hot tin roof. They, I like the imagery of that and how they addressed it and so on.
Did you notice they kept saying to her, "You got your claws into it," and like they kept giving her feline sort of remarks to Elizabeth Taylor throughout it. I noticed at least 3 times when maybe she said something like, "You'll just purr about that," or that kind of stupid
symbolic stuff. Yeah. The one other line was, "We occupy the same cage. That's all." I like that. They did the kids songs. They did the Skinnamarink Dinky Dink, that song that Sharon, Lois, and Bram did. And they did Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam. And it's like, oh, it's been so long since I'd heard that song. And those children with their little costumes, it's like, oh man, they were so if they weren't so miserable, they would have been darn cute. But boy, that mother just trotted them out and made them do all kinds of stuff. And you wanted to strangle her as well. The sister-in-law.
Every single time it was obnoxious.
Yeah.
It wasn't a moment. And when they were doing happy birthday, not happy birthday, he's a jolly good fellow. And then they also said about Big Daddy and Big Mama too.
Yeah.
It reminded me, because he's with his family and his grandkids singing this song, and he couldn't give a hoot. He wasn't liking it at all when it was going on. But they think that that's how they impress like the daughter is, well, I get the grandkids to like show off that they're his grandkids and love him and sing songs and memorize songs for him. And it was as grating as when you go to a restaurant and the waiters sing you happy birthday. You don't like it. Nobody wants it. Why anybody does that to anybody in this world, I don't understand. Because the waiters don't want to sing it.
If the waiters do it, you get a free piece of cake or something like that. That's why they do it. Because otherwise, you'd go on your birthday and just not tell.
Right. They're right.
I like the word mendacity. I didn't even know that was a word. Really. Mendacity.
I really knew what it meant, but that would be a better name for this movie. I thought it when they said it.
Untruthfulness.
Then later it came back. The word mendacity came back near the end, and I went, that would have been a pretty good name for this movie, Mendacity.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Cat in a Hot Tin Roof. I just don't like how and she goes, I'm just like a cat on a hot tin roof. And I'm going, don't give away the whole movie title that simply.
Let us think about it a little bit. Yeah. Well, it's almost like he wrote the thing and it says, okay, I got to find a title. Wow, that line looks pretty good. Let's use that one.
But she said it about herself.
Yeah.
And I thought when I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, the person will say it about the other person. And I didn't know if the Brick character at the beginning was going to be the cat on the hot tin roof, and it was going to be Elizabeth Taylor after a while. So I thought he was going to say something. Oh man, you're just like a cat on a hot tin roof. But she said that about herself. I thought that was very not many people are that literate or illustrative of themselves.
Yeah. So when she said, "I feel like a cat in a hot tin roof," and he said, "Well, jump."
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that she did that in the movie. In some way, she's running around trying to hold everyone together, but I don't know that her actions really did hold everything together. Like, I don't know what was the impetus for the big turnaround, that he's no longer drinking and Big Daddy's going to live, longer. And like, I don't know what that was.
It's because she lied and he knew it. Because she even said to him when they went up to the room, "Thanks for accepting my lie."
Yeah. I guess so.
And he did, so only he would know that because he hasn't had sex with her for her to be pregnant, right? So,
yeah.
And although that does weave it into maybe that was having sex with friends.
Goober.
Big Daddy. No, his friend's baby. She's one that
Skipper died already.
A long time ago, was it?
Well, it wasn't just recent. I don't know. It doesn't really say.
2 months ago for her to be pregnant, because that was the last time she saw him, and he died that time.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. How long ago does Skipper die? Like, was this last week, or was this half a year ago, or is he still mulling out? Like, it sounds like he's been drinking for a long time, not just.
I don't think he had been. When he talked about losing the job, and he goes, "I can get you your job back," and I didn't really feel I think he came back with her because she lied to put them all in their place, and he's been lying this whole time by not liking his wife and going sobbing for his friend. And I sort of think he watched his family unfold and went, "Oh my goodness, my wife's willing to lie like we all do. I can accept that for her to get out of her problems, just like I use it to get out of my problems." And lying by omission is the same thing. Like, him not talking about it is just as much a lie about what he's going through. I don't know. I like the end.
Google says at one point Maggie joins them and reveals what happened a few years ago on the night Brick's best friend and football teammate Skipper died by suicide. A few years ago.
Yeah,
that's what So he was miserable for a whole lot of years. Like, that's the other thing. I would have understood it more if it had just happened.
But then you wouldn't question his alcoholism. If he's been an alcoholic for 2 years, nobody'd be going, "Oh, you drinking too much?" They'd all be turning their heads like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, it seemed to be a revelation to everybody there. Like, at the one point, they looked over and saw the alcohol sitting there that he'd had a drink when he was out of the room. Somebody came into the room and looked at her and looked at the drink, and she went something like, "Oh no, he just had a drink." And I'm going, "Well, if that, therefore it seems new because they're excusing it, and they wouldn't get away with it normally."
Yeah. No, he was such a falling down, terrible drunk, and I don't know what happened to make him, except for her, she lied for him. But like, why would he even care about that? Like, I that part I didn't get. Maybe the play is better at explaining it. Either way, even though with these, kind of unresolved things, I still thought it was I'm glad he did it a certain way, and that's the way he did it. And yeah, I thought it was good. So next time we'll see another movie with Elizabeth Taylor in it.
I think I know the one I'm hoping you're picking.
I'll let you know. It might even be your turn. I'm not sure.
No, I'm pretty sure it's your turn. What other movies do I have with her? Let's see.
Well, she was in Cleopatra.
Giant. Did we do Giant?
Yes, with James Dean.
Yeah.
But she was quite a bit younger, and she was not dressed as the sultry. Like, she was in a slip all day, the whole movie shoot long.
Secret Ceremony. She's in a movie called Secret Ceremony. Look at that, with Mia Farrow, Robert Mitchum. Penniless woman meets a strange girl who insists that her long lost mother, she is her long lost mother, and becomes enmeshed in a web of deception and perhaps madness in this powerful psychological thriller. Secret Ceremony. That sort of seems interesting. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Now that's a cool movie. Her and Richard Burton are alcoholic couple.
Yeah. And I have not seen that one yet.
I've not seen it either. I remember seeing 10 minutes of it or something like that 20 years ago. But,
yeah.
And Cleopatra, how long is Cleopatra?
5 hours.
Well, it's an hour and 47 minutes. I thought it was going to be a 5-hour movie too.
Okay.
That's her Richard Burton again. So I'm just for you to know, I'm hoping you pick a Richard Burton movie.
Yeah, so that you can go Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor instead of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
No. Because I have a Richard Burton movie in mind that I would like to watch on this. Let me see if I have it.
Well, my favorite Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton thing?
What?
When they were on the Lucille, I think it was called the Lucille Ball Show, or I don't think it was Here's Lucy. I don't know which one it was now. Maybe it was Here's Lucy. When Lucy tried on the engagement ring, or the ring, the Hope Diamond, or whatever, the big rock that he gave her. And so Lucy had to stand behind the curtain and pretend with the hands because she had to be seen with the ring, and it was the wrong, so that whole shtickle with
didn't it get stuck?
Yeah, it got stuck on her finger. So Elizabeth Taylor had to have that ring on for the thing. So she's around Elizabeth Taylor and pretending to do stuff with the ring. That pantomime thing.
That's good.
So, but we should talk about that during the Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor movie.
Or
can't waste it on the Paul Newman. Before we leave Paul Newman, is there anything else we want to talk about? He was in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He's handsome. Boy, is he handsome.
So I want you to look at the woman, Madeline Sherwood. That's the daughter with the Ranky kids. See the picture on IMDb? I'll share that with you here on this thing here. Present a window. That's the one. Share.
Oh yeah. Boy, so she was.
look at her eyes. They look so close to her nose and her mouth at the bottom of her head, right?
Yep.
It looks wrong, doesn't it? Like it look, and it's, I don't know if that's because the camera is sort of at a higher angle, but here's the funny thing that most people don't understand. I remember hearing it about art once when you're drawing faces. Did you know that the eyes are in the middle of the head?
Yeah.
They're not at the upper top part of the head. They're in the middle of everybody. But it doesn't look like with this woman. It looks like it's way down below because she's got a lot of forehead and then the hair. But if there is no bouffanty hair, if that her scalp just goes right there, it would probably fit. But it looks really squished on her. But most people don't realize the eyes are in the middle of the head. And when you draw art and you draw an oval for a head, you draw the eyes in the middle, and then you start putting things on it. If you put the eyes above, then you got to screw around with the hair and try and fix it, and the proportions just never come in. That's
why children who put the eyes and the nose and the mouth on the thirds aren't doing a good representation because no, that she was very played as an unattractive woman, boy. That's just.
What else do I have?
Just so whiny and
she's in the movie Baby Doll.
Did Big Mama remind you a little bit of our Edith Bunker at times? A couple of times for me. Just I thought, oh, that reminds me of Edith Bunker.
No, I never crossed my mind. Only thing that crossed my mind was Endora from Bewitched. I sort of thought of her a couple of times, maybe because they were the same age actress at the same time, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Agnes Moorehead.
Yeah, because I remember Agnes Moorehead was in something that a movie that I watched where she played somebody like that was attractive and young and vibrant, and whereas we knew her as an old lady on Bewitched,
trying to be the old mother-in-law. To Samantha Stevens, Elizabeth Montgomery, love her.
Yes, that's
are we going to be able at the end of the year to pull it back to the first person that we started with in January? That'll be an interesting thing. I hadn't thought about that. Whether we'll be.
I was thinking of different things for like what we could do next year, and I was thinking we could like play little clips from the movies, and then talk about your favorite little moment in the movie, one or two of them or whatever, and then mine.
Yeah,
and then we just sort of play them as clips so we can sort of then explain why we didn't like this part or love this part, or
to make this a little bit more about a movie review instead of us just babbling about stuff.
Well, still babbling.
We did good. Yeah, but it's a little more professional when you put up a screenshot of the movie thing. You bring up the
things like I hated this part when she said this, and wouldn't it be nice to just play that?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like right now, I would like to have played the piece where Goober is not the son that I sort of.
Yeah, we would have gone back and found the clips and found the words.
Both talk about it. Oh my! And then anybody watching it would be going,
yes, the many people watching it. No one's
no. If you watch our movies and you watch the worldwide sales of movies, whenever we watch a movie, the worldwide sales peak.
They do.
Yeah.
Like peak. Not like peak. No, I don't think that's and if someone does stop in and look at what we're doing, they never make it this long. I mean, I can't imagine that.
Stacy will still be watching right now.
Oh, bless you, Stacy.
I know.
Either that or you're extremely bored. And, like Laura once watched the whole thing because it's like, well, I just was sitting there doing, input or something. Then you can
watch it to like learn exactly what we do. Goes and watches things we watch. And I know it's wonderful. It's our true one and only fan.
Yeah, because like, how many comments have we had on any of the YouTube clips? Like,
I've never looked at anything.
I think zero.
I've never ever looked at any of them again that are up there or what we wrote.
Well, and it's funny because like I have a blog and then I'll put the blog link onto Facebook, and you're not supposed to. it's like people read the blog, but when someone likes it or comments, it's like, what a thrill, like same with on TikTok. It's like, what a thrill. Someone took the time to do that, because they'll comment on Facebook. They'll put, there's 30 replies, 30 comments about what I did. It's like, put that on the blog. But when you do it on the blog, you have to probably sign in, and it's too much of a hassle. So I get that, but it's like, it's funny how little comments and stuff like that really do make your day when you're putting stuff out there.
And it's funny. I love it when people comment on any video I put up, because it's pretty rare. And I comment on people's stuff all the time. And I love it when they reply to my comment.
Yeah.
I've not replied to anyone's comment on my thing, which is the thing that I want them to do. And you think I'd procure it by going, oh, thanks so much. Or the fact that you even watched was nice, or those kind of replies I can do. Even liked by creator. I've not done that to anybody.
Oh, okay.
Ever once.
Yeah.
Isn't that awful?
Well, yeah, you have to go back now and go back and like any comment and stuff. So
you're going to get, oh, Jeff liked your thing. Jeff, who's this Jeff guy?
What's going on? Back in 2022, I made a comment.
I've seen dogs running on snow 4,000 times since then. Now I look, and I should never have liked that one.
They have much better dogs, much better snow.
Yeah. So I need to be cautious with that and do what, and maybe even carry on a conversation with somebody, because I like it when I do that, when I comment on somebody's and they comment back and I comment back, and you then watch a couple more of their videos and you become you have a reason to continue with that thread.
Well, Facebook does do that pretty good. Like, and you have to know your wheelhouse, and my wheelhouse is Facebook, and that's because it speaks to a certain group of people, mostly older and my age and older, and they're the ones who are on Facebook. It's not young hip kids, and Twitter is all about news. Like anyone in the news, if you want to be in touch with them or reply to them or anything, you'll get information from Twitter. You don't get it from Facebook. It's not on there.
I just had a really cool epiphany. You were talking there, and I heard RFK Jr., the guy who's running for
the Democratic.
And I just heard his voice in your voice. If you scratched your voice up a bit and lowered it, you would have been speaking just like him. Just a second ago, you were talking, and your voice is a little bit higher, so lower a little bit, and then
lower. I wasn't trying to do that.
I know, but it was exactly that. In fact, I could probably go cut that out and lower the speed.
You know what? Make a TikTok of that. Have the two of us side by side and
take your little voice there and crunch it down slower. I did that with, there's a song out there. I sent it to Mom. There's an Ed Sheeran song called The Shape of You. And some people on TikTok play that song as their backing song, but it's played at like 60% the speed.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
Cool.
It's so good. And there's this kid playing basketball. And there's a black kid playing basketball and a white kid playing basketball. And the black kid does all these moves and, shoots up. And on the white kid, it gets 3 points or whatever. And bang, and high fives, all screaming. And then the white kid gets the ball and he comes down, finds a way through, spins and gets it in. He walks away. And then the black kid gets it and he goes and charges in and gets it, the ball in, and it's all his friends and him are just like yelling, screaming, and pointing. Back to the white kid. He comes in and he does it with calmness, and even after scoring, turns his head, goes back the other way. May sort of slap one of his friends down low, just like It's a really cool dichotomy of the black kid is showing off with bravado, and the white kid is showing off with calm fortitude.
Right.
I mean? It's fantastic. And that was set to The Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. And it fit so wonderfully. I could not believe it. The words are wrong. The words are, you can't find love in the club. That's why I go to the bars.
Okay.
It's so well done.
Yeah. Well, people react to playing basketball differently, right? I still remember, umpteen years ago. I think it was back in Keizer Center. That's how long ago it was. And I think we had family visiting from Holland. Now, whether it was my grandparents or the brother of my grandfather, I was watching The Price is Right, and like don't know why I remember that, but it's The Price of Right, and like the girl won, and I'm yay, and they looked at me and said, Dutch girls are just not that enthusiastic about what, like, why are you that way? And it's like, well, because it's exciting. But it wasn't a derogatory thing, but it also was like, we just don't understand that enthusiasm for a television show. It was like, but she just won a car, like, so it's funny how, people look at it differently.
Yeah, no, it's just, I'll send it to you. I'll find the link. I send it to Mom, so I'll send it to you, and you'll listen to the music and go, that the words don't fit, but man, that beat is just got a little layer of funky. Yeah. It's just wonderful.
I can't figure out TikTok enough to do anything except original sound, and like I tried doing a clip, so that I haven't figured out that because I clicked the wrong thing and the wrong thing disappears, and oh crap. So I'm not good at TikTok yet.
Well, I just edit the videos on something else, and then
upload
10 minutes, and that's where my reviews on that Suicide Kills.
Yeah,
just done straight video. Then I edited what I need to, and then I uploaded it. Otherwise, you're limited to 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see you next month.
Be good.
Bye.
Stop. Man, it's
Stop recording.
Okay, here we go. I found the stop button.
Found the stop button.
Now.